So after 300 hours of work, 100,000 Lego pieces, designed and built in just 30 days, over 6 feet long. And a diorama that literally takes up an entire room. This is the making of Daro. So what is Daro? I think a lot of you probably know, some of you might not. It's based off the Bad Batch television episode War Mantle, which actually came out in late July of 2021. Originally going into this project working with Lego, it was a collaboration between me and the company, and I actually did not originally plan on making a Daro MOC when I first started this project with Lego. So Lego actually reached out a couple months ago saying, hey David, we want to bring you onto this marketing campaign along with some other influential artists that are doing all kinds of different things, and we want you to build a diorama. That's what you're known for, that's what we'd love to see from you. What do you think about that? And I said, yes, absolutely. And they gave me 100% creative freedom of what I could make. I could make any Star Wars planet, I could make whatever I want. Seeing this almost northwest forest vibe with mountains, and then all of a sudden this giant Imperial base just inside a mountain was just the coolest thing ever. It felt so Star Wars to me when I saw it, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I told Lego, hey, I really want to build this. Are you guys okay with me last minute changing it? They're like, if you can do it, do it. I had a limited selection of pieces that Lego could provide for this diorama, so I had to really think about what I wanted to make. This is 2x4 bricks in medium nougat. I swear it's as heavy as it looks. The entire box is just this bag. Wow. I don't want to pull this out, but in here, you can kind of see it. They are 8x16 dark green plates. And so I ultimately decided that bricks and plates are some of the pieces that I need in much higher quantities. So for example, the inner structure of Daro is actually made out of a ton of 2x6 bricks. And I actually used a classic lattice pattern that is known in the Lego Star Wars community for the classic clone bases. And so I use that pattern inside this MOC just as a little homage to all my fans who have watched me for the last 13 years on YouTube. So designing this MOC, I did actually have like a concept piece that I designed like on my iPad using, some Adobe software. And I showed that to Lego. They were 100% on board with that. That actually had to get approved by Disney, since Star Wars, Disney, and Lego all have to, communicate all this stuff for marketing purposes. So it was kind of cool knowing like the Disney team was having to look at all this and like approve that, but they were on board with it, which was really cool. So the first thing I actually did with Daro was not build what you see a majority of, which is the mountains and the trees. I actually started with the inner base. That was the hardest challenge. Not only did I have to create like a half semicircle that had to be curved into a mountain, which is Lego's meant to be bricks. It's a square system. It's not a curved system, so it's very challenging to create a curved surface, especially at the incredible heights that I was trying to achieve. It was a new challenge for sure. So once the inner base was done, I knew I could work on the outer structure. And I knew I was going to be building it up in layers. I knew that was going to be the easiest way. And to do the rock and mountains, I wanted to try something new. I ultimately placed a lot of slope pieces sideways, and with my friend Lee, who I'll talk about here in a few minutes, us blending rock work techniques of not only building upwards but also sideways honestly created a wonderful dynamic, and I really want to continue using this technique in the future. So we got to talk about the trees. There's 76 trees in this MOC, and each tree has 600 pieces. So if you do your math, that's over 45,000 pieces in just the trees alone. 45,000 pieces. So the design for the tree was actually inspired by my friend Rich Boy Jay. He had created this tree type structure for his Starkiller base MOC, and I kind of went with how he created the stem of the tree and reworked the stump, the bottom of the tree, as well as the top with all the limbs coming off. And I ultimately really like the final result of the trees. They're all different, none are exactly the same. They all have different shades of brown on them, and I really think it creates a nice aesthetic. And the trees also have a slight lean to them. It's very natural looking, and surprisingly they're sturdy enough that they can stand up for weeks. I haven't had a single one drop by itself. Pretty much all the details that you see in the MOC were from my own collection, and man, did it require a lot of dark gray, a lot of light gray, and a lot of dark greens, and just greens in general. It took up my entire collection. So the next thing I want to talk about is this was a team effort. I could not have done this by myself, especially given the time of just 30 days to put this thing together. It just wasn't going to happen, or at least the way I wanted it to look. So I couldn't have done it without my fiance Meredith, my friend Lee, and my friend Wyatt. All three of them contributed to this MOC in various ways. Meredith, my fiance, built almost all the trees that you see, all 76 of them. Incredible. I can't believe she was able to do it, but she did and blew my mind, and I really honestly can't thank her enough. And then there was my friend Lee, who I knew via Brick Fair, and I actually hit him up saying, hey bro, do you have like a free weekend? He lives about 2 hours from where I am. And I was like, could you take like a train down and maybe come and help me finish this MOC? And he was totally about it. And we ultimately spent probably about 30 hours just finishing the rock work, and I honestly couldn't have done it without him. He came up with some amazing techniques. My personal favorite thing that Lee actually contributed to the MOC was this pathway with rock work around it, and it looks so natural and so visually interesting in the MOC. In total, I think it was about 6 days that he was here helping build the MOC, and man, did he just go nuts. Me and him were building so well, so in sync. It honestly felt like we were on Lego Masters, the television show, where you have teams of 2 building crazy stuff. It literally felt like Lego Masters here in this room for a long time. And honestly, Lee is welcome to come back anytime. I had a blast building with him. Probably one of the best builders I know in the Lego Star Wars community, and I could not thank him enough for providing his efforts into building this creation. Lastly, there's Wyatt, who's built a majority of the vehicles that you see in the background. Meredith also helped with building sets as well. A lot of X-Wings and TIE Fighters were built by Meredith and Wyatt also built the Imperial Star Destroyer. And Wyatt definitely saved me a lot of time from building sets to actually being able to build the MOC. So a big thanks to Wyatt as well. So with this MOC, not only was it a challenge building it in just 30 days, but I was also challenging myself to introduce new ways of making the diorama even more inclusive of new ideas. So for example, I created this shelving system that was all blacked out with a black curtain behind it, trying to make it look like there's a space battle happening above the MOC and kind of get that like Battlefront 2 vibe from those classic Star Wars games, and kind of introduce that in a Lego Star Wars diorama. So overall, I'm happy with the way it came out, but it's not my best. And then there was the custom rig that I built to actually make Lego Star Wars sets fly above the diorama. This was all new for me. Normally I use translucent clear Lego elements to suspend Lego sets above a MOC, and I think that still works. But in this case, I really wanted to try something new and really challenge myself. And so suspending Lego sets via fishing wire was something that I had experimented with years ago in 2015 when I was working on a Brick film, specifically the Force Awakens trailer recreated out of Lego. I used fishing wire to suspend an X-Wing over a green screen and knew that could work and you could do cool things with that, but I've never actually suspended Lego sets above a diorama before, so this was new and different. So I ultimately used these 10-foot aluminum pipes, used fishing wire and Lego pieces to kind of connect the 2 sections of the ship to the pipes, and then I also had to run an electrical wire to create the lighting that you see inside those sets as well. All 3 of them have lights. The final effect was really visually interesting, and I'm really happy with the way the flying ships look over the diorama. So during the final days of completing the diorama that became Daro, man, was it a challenge. Lee thankfully was here. We were both working on lighting up the Lego Star Wars sets, putting the final touches on the MOC, adding minifigures, making sure all the scenes of it look as cool as they possibly can, and really just adding that final bit to really make this MOC stand out. So that's it. That's Daro. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the time-lapse video, the cinematic video, and of course the full walkthrough of Daro if you want to see even more of this amazing creation. Again, I just want to give a big shout out to Lee, Meredith, and Wyatt for their incredible help. And of course, I cannot thank LEGO for collaborating with me on this incredible endeavor. And wow, did it turn out well. And I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did putting it together.